No, I mean, you can't take anything away from Leak. I mean, we had him on the ropes in that first inning, and then, the pickoff, and then the strikeout to, to Bryce. It would have been a lot easier with nobody out in that situation. And then after that, after he got out of that trouble, then, he was very good. His ball was moving. His cutter was really working today, and his sinker, and he would throw an occasional change-up and break a ball. And I was just thinking during the game, my good friend Bobby Welch, was his coach at Arizona State, and Welch used to tell him all the time, cheese at the knees with movement, and that's what he was doing today. And he was splitting the plate, more like a left-hand pitcher, with the cutter going one way and the slide and the sinker going the other way. And we didn't have him in the stretch. The only time we had him in trouble was in the first and then the seventh, because the rest of the time he was in the windup, and it's a lot easier for a pitcher to get his rhythm out of the windup, and that's the only time we had him in trouble was the first and the seventh.
Beyond the numbers themselves, the results,
Mm-hmm.
what do you see in that going right now? Just when you watch him play.
Well, he's struggling some. He's feeling better daily, but let's not forget he struggled last April too. So we got more than half the April to go, and he can still have a very good April. And it was a tough game, for him today. We had, like I said, all of their outs, all of their runs are scored with 2 outs, and that's backbreaker when that happens. And Piscotti beat us by himself today. It was Piscotti 5 and us 1, and so it was a heck of a day for Leak and Piscotti. And Piscotty's a very good hitter. He's not gonna stay cold or long for too long. And the same with Anthony. He's a good hitter, and that he's going to have a breakout game here.
Dustin, you win the series, but kind of uncharacteristically, your team made a bunch of errors in the series.
Yeah.
Is any aspect of the defensive play that you've seen the last few days concern you at all?
Yeah, I mean, it always concerns me when you don't catch it or throw it, because you're giving away outs. You give away extra outs, and the game wasn't designed, for 30 outs versus 27, and so we just got to tighten our defense up. We got to tighten our defense, and we got to tighten our entire game up.
Is the defense something you address with them, or do they kind of just know?
Well, that's something that I address, all the time. But I address it from the time, we're in spring training, and we work on it. And so we just got to keep working.
What did you think of Max's outing?
Maxie was he finished strong. He finished very strong. He was spiking his slider, you know what I mean, and which usually he doesn't do. And evidently he didn't have a very good feel for that slider, because a run was scored, on a wild pitch with 2. Well, it was in the first inning. He was headed for a 10-12 pitch first inning, and then the walk to Carpenter, and then the wild pitch, and then the base hit to Biscotti again. And so most of their runs were set up and preceded either most of the time by the walk. Even in that 9th inning, there was a walk in there someplace. So we got to tighten those walks up also.
Zim had a couple of more hits, and Eaton had a couple and hit the ball hard 4 times. What do you see in Zim's hitting that may carry forward, and what do you see in Eaton in general?
Well, Eaton, he's a grinder, and he's a battler at the plate. Zim is on the ball. He's not fooled by too many pitches. He's healthy. And in spring training, he had a very good spring, and that didn't necessarily transfer into the season, but it has for him. And, he's getting more and more confident and feeling more and more like Zim, every day. And he's hitting the ball hard. Even when he's making outs, he's hitting the ball hard.
What did you think of Harper's at bat against Cecil? He looked pretty bad in that first changeup.
Yeah.
Takes one, gets just a piece, and then cuts the line.
Well, I think that was awesome at bat. Usually they give him that line, but he had just hit one down that line a couple days ago. And usually, that guy's not. But they were playing their defense to how they were pitching him, and so that was awesome at bat. We might have been off to the races, on that one because that ball's down that corner. And with Anthony on first, there's a heck of a chance that we had a tie ball game. So that was a tremendous at bat, and you could tell by, his frustration after that at bat.
What's your take on Depot catching the foul ball down the line? Would you always rather have that guy catch that ball even though the run scores, or is that?
Well, everybody says, should you have caught that ball or not? But what happens if he lets it drop and then the guy hits one in the gap or hits it out? You got to take those outs when you get them. And, there was a tough hitter up there, Carpenter. And so, you got to take that. You got to take that out when you can get it.
I
Yes.
think your starting pitchers have given up one home run and the bullpen's given up all the rest. Is there any pattern to the home
How
run?
many of all? Or how many is that? 9.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a uncharacteristically high number. So that just shows that we're not yet making quality pitches or hanging sliders, because most of them are come on sliders. And that slider, if you hang it, it goes a long, long ways like Piscotty's did.